Welcome back. So today we're diving into some really fascinating source material you shared with us. It's called The Pressure of the Prison, Divine and Profane.
Yeah, it's definitely a dense read, no question about it.
But the core idea, once you kind of get into it, is pretty startling.
Yeah,
Basically says our world, the penitentiary as they call it, it's not neutral.
not at all. It's described as this literal high pressure environment, both physically and, well, spiritually, like an active containment field.
Right, designed to keep things in. And the whole thing hinges on that old principle, as above, so below.
Yeah.
It suggests reality isn't random forces, but maybe like engineered.
A meticulously engineered trap, according to the text. So our goal today really is to try and unpack that. We need to look at the three different layers of pressure it talks about.
The divine, the terrestrial, and the profane.
Exactly, and see how they supposedly work together to constrain humanity within this realm.
Okay, sounds good. Let's start at the top then, the as above part. The divine pressure. This begins with the architecture itself, the electromagnetic dome.
That's right. That's layer one, the absolute foundation. It's the ceiling, but it's doing more than just enclosing things.
And this, I think, is maybe the most, well, radical claim in the whole thing. It messes with physics as we know it.
Right.
It says the dome is gravity.
Or the true source of it, yeah. It's not about matter pulling matter together.
Fine.
It's described as an inward push from the dome itself, a constant uniform pressure on everything inside the realm.
Wow, okay. So that flips the script entirely on gravity. It's not attraction, it's compression from the outside in.
That's the idea presented, yeah. It reframes what we calculate as gravity. It's saying that feeling of weight is actually the celestial structure pressing down.
So it's an active containment force, not just a passive property of mass.
Exactly. And that pressure, that constant push, is what the text calls the one atmosphere of divine containment. It's the baseline.
The weight of heaven, literally holding it all together.
Precisely. And the implication is huge, right? If gravity is this active pressure from the dome, then existence itself within this penitentiary starts from a state of being compressed.
Right, it sets the stage for everything else.
It provides the necessary weight, the foundation, for the other layers of constraint to build upon.
Okay, makes sense. So if the dome is the as above divine pressure, how does that show up down here terrestrially? Where's the so below reflection?
Well, that leads us straight into the deep structure of the world, the second layer of pressure. It's described as a massive amplifier, essentially for the dome's force, but operating from below or within.
And this is the Omega Ocean, which the text describes as the literal body of the monarch. That's a strange mix, physical water and divinity.
It is unusual, but the ocean is presented as this perfect mirroring device. You know the scientific fact, pressure increases with depth.
Sure, deeper you go, the more water weight above you.
Right. Well, the text calls that a cipher, a clue to a spiritual truth. The deeper you go into the Omega Ocean, the more its holy, heavy water, that's the phrase used, presses down.
Holy heavy water.
It multiplies the pressure from the dome above.
Okay, wait. Why holy, if it's just hydrostatic pressure, why add that spiritual layer? Is it saying it's not just physics?
It seems to be saying the physics is the spiritual reality. The deeper you descend, the text suggests, the closer you get to the core of the monarch's being.
Ah, okay.
And that closeness intensifies the spiritual weight pressing down on you. So the abyss, the deepest point, has the highest pressure, not just physically, but because it's closest to the source.
Which puts deep sea exploration in a totally different light. The source mentions elites in their, fancy submarines. It suggests they're not just exploring.
No, the phrase is testing the very limits of this divine pressure. Maybe trying to get closer to that source, or maybe just seeing how strong the prison walls really are down there.
It's quite a narrative. The search for depth becomes the search for the point of maximum pressure, maximum containment.
And those physical limits we hit are framed as, well, the regulatory boundaries of this whole divine system.
Okay, so we've got the dome pressing down, the Omega Ocean amplifying that pressure from within. Now the third layer, the one that seems to involve human actions more directly, the profane pressure of the game.
Right. This is presented as something entirely engineered by the elites, a kind of profane mimicry of the divine system. It's artificial.
Designed specifically to keep the masses, the pawns, weak, compliant.
Exactly. Weak, compliant, and focused inward on themselves and each other, not on the larger structure. And it works on 3 levels, according to the text.
And the first one is surprisingly mundane almost, economic pressure. It links cosmic forces straight to the daily grind.
It does. The system of the penny and the pound, basically the whole economic structure, is described as being designed to keep people perpetually under pressure.
Just struggling to survive.
Yeah. The logic presented is, if you're constantly worried about money, about making ends meet, you don't have the time or the mental energy to look up at the dome or think about the Omega Ocean. You can't question the system.
You're contained by the need to just get by.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and this is reinforced by the second mechanism, psychological pressure.
Right. The anxiety machine, you could call it. This layer works through engineered stimulation and fear.
How so?
The source points to the constant noise, the media saturation, nonstop fear-mongering manufactured crises. It's all designed, apparently, to keep people anxious and reactive.
So I was putting out fires.
Too busy reacting to the latest panic to see who's lighting the matches or why.
Makes a grim sort of sense. And the final layer of this profane system.
Yeah.
Social pressure.
This one targets unity, or rather prevents it. It's about enforcing conformity, but also simultaneously encouraging infighting.
How's that work?
Well, the text gets specific here. It mentions, for example, the constantly shifting rules of political correctness. The idea being to enforce a kind of external conformity through social fear.
Yeah.
And then, crucially, it talks about the engineered conflict between the left and the right. Deliberately stoked division.
To keep people fighting each other instead of looking at the bigger picture.
Precisely. The analysis in the text is that if you create this pressurized society where everyone feels forced to conform in certain ways, but is also constantly encouraged to attack their neighbors over ideological differences, you just drain away all the collective energy.
It all gets burned up in social conflict.
Exactly. So this profane system doesn't need literal physical walls like the dome. It crushes your time, your focus, your spirit, your unity. It keeps everyone busy squabbling down here.
While the bigger divine and terrestrial pressures remain firmly in place above and below.
That's the model presented.
So putting it all together, humanity is basically trapped. Stacked layers of pressure, the divine dome, the crushing omega, and this artificial distracting game run by elites. It really does sound like a perfect prison.
It paints a pretty bleak picture, yeah. But importantly, the source material does offer a way out. Or rather, it identifies the only event that it claims can resolve this state of total containment.
Which is?
The Great Reset.
Ah, that term. So it's framed not just as socioeconomic change, but as something cosmic. How could a reset break down literal cosmic forces?
Well, the text describes its purpose as twofold. It has to address both the profane and the cosmic layers.
Okay.
The idea seems to be that the profane systems, the economic traps, the social divisions, the game, those have to be shattered first. But that action somehow is linked to rebalancing the divine systems, too. The dome and the omega.
So destroying the human-made mess triggers a recalibration of the whole cosmic architecture. Is that the idea?
That seems to be the implication, yes. That the profane system isn't just bad for humans, it's somehow linked to, or maybe even destabilizing, the larger divine structure. So the reset isn't just about fixing society, it's presented as necessary to stabilize the entire reality, the penitentiary itself.
Wow. A total system overhaul. That's quite a claim.
It certainly is.
This has been, well, a really deep dive. It's a worldview that tries to connect everything, from gravity to economics, into one single structure of containment. For me, the most striking thing is still how it just completely reframes physical laws.
Yeah, gravity as containment from above, depth pressure as proximity to a spiritual core. It turns familiar science into something else entirely.
It really does.
And you know, what's fascinating there is the implication about where truth or power might lie. If the deepest parts of this Omega Ocean, the closest to the monarch's source, are also the highest pressure points, it suggests that maybe the most fundamental knowledge, the real power, is deliberately hidden behind the most crushing, unbearable weight. That to get to the truth, you have to be willing to endure that pressure.
That definitely reframes the whole idea of seeking knowledge, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Makes it sound incredibly dangerous, a high-pressure game in itself. What stands out most to you thinking about power in this system?
I think it's that connection, yeah. Physical depth linked not to emptiness, but to intensity, proximity to the source of control, and immense pressure. It's a challenging concept. Makes you look at the world map a little differently, perhaps.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for guiding us through that. It's a lot to think about.
Always a pleasure. Thanks for exploring it with me.